Pierre, if any impact could Shanahan leaving have on the two key UFAs? Could it kind of change someone else's perspective? Could it affect that at all?
I don't think so. Oh, I mean, I think Living is really the key figure in those conversations anyway. And John Tavares made a point the other day. I was at the clean out locker day, and he made a point of saying that he had just had a meeting with Tree Living, as all the players did, but for his exit meeting, and that he came out of it feeling pretty positive about his chances of staying elite. So he made a point of mentioning Tree Living, even though we hadn't asked Tavares about that. So I think that's still the GM's job. And I mean, I don't even think we need to have a conversation any further about whether or not there's a chance Mitch Marner stays. I think it's pretty much a done deal that he's going to market.
But okay, going to market means he's leaving for sure. Like that's your opinion that Marner's
well, nothing's for sure in life. I mean, right? I think I definitely, if you were putting a gun to my head, I would say that it's very, very likely that Marner leaves in my mind. Now, you never know. Again, it could be after Marner said he wanted to decompress over the next few weeks and go over everything. Maybe he comes out of it on the other side feeling differently after the emotion is out of it. But my sense is he's going to market.
For Shanahan, Pierre, obviously the Islanders have reached out. He's got the built-in relationship with Lou Lamoriello, who's still hanging around as a advisor to the Islanders president. Do you see a fit there in that management team for Brendan Shanahan?
For sure. And I think really the person to key on is actually John Collins, Dave, because John Collins, when he was at the league, worked with Brendan Shanahan, right? I mean, they were both at the league office at the same time. And John Collins is along with ownership, spearheading the search here for the new hockey administration. So I think that's probably more the key relationship to focus on. There's no question in my mind that Shanahan, when he feels the time is right here over the next number of days, will meet with the Islanders. Whether or not he feels that job is for him, we'll see. I can't answer that. But I will say that, my sense is, some people have wondered, will Shanahan maybe take a year off and reset? I don't think so. I think he wants to get right back into it with the team if he can. So if the Islander job sounds good to him and everything around it sounds good to him, it may very well be that he feels that's for him. We'll see.
Well, they've got the first overall pick, and they've got some cap space, and we were trying to connect, Mitch Marner to Brendan Shanahan and the Islanders. Could you see a connection there? Like, if you think Marner's going to hit the market, do you have two or three teams in mind that you think would show interest in him, but also he would show interest in them?
Yeah, hard to tell. I don't know that I would put the Islanders in there only because I think that whoever ends up there, whether it's Mark Bergevin or Matthew Darce as GM, and then whether or not Shanahan's in there as president, I think they need some form of retool, not necessarily a rebuild. I don't think ownership there wants a rebuild, but I think a retool. So I don't know about splurging on July 1st as your first act in the retool. But, again, let's see who they end up hiring. It's hard to answer the vacuum without knowing who the Islanders end up hiring to run their team. But, I think a lot of the usual suspects, if I had to guess, for Marner, I think I mentioned some of these teams last week. there's no doubt in my mind that, teams like Anaheim and Detroit and Chicago will want to get in on it. I had a piece today come out with Ken Holland, interviewed Ken Holland today, and he obviously wouldn't get into names, but we ended our interview by him saying the Kings are absolutely intent on being aggressive here. We know Ken Holland likes to swing for the fences, so I would surmise that the Kings would be one of the teams too, and they got cap room that would be in on Marner. But aside from that, I think Marner himself, if he goes to market, which I think is likely, will probably look at the usual suspects. Florida, Vegas, all the teams that we always end up keying on, where players seem to love to go. I think those teams would probably be on his list as well.
Yeah, and yet those teams aren't going to give him $14 million a year. So how does that jive?
Right.
Let's
see what he wants.
What's that?
Let's see what he wants, and let's see what he prioritizes.
Oh, that would be sickening if he signs in Florida for $9.5 million. He will just never be able to come back here, ever
I'm
again.
not saying that's going to happen.
No,
Don't
I
radio me
understand.
now,
I'm just saying if that happens, there will be no alumni. Hey, coming back, good to see it like that. It'll just be the end. It'll be over and finished, because the thought is, well, he's going to want all the money, and Austin got this and Willie got that, and that's what that's what I'm having a tough time figuring out. Like if Mitch is if he wants to win, those teams make a lot of sense. And I could understand that. Like if he's like, hey, listen, I just decided I want to win. Okay. He never said he wants to redeem himself in Toronto and I want to prove I can win here, but maybe you want to win somewhere else. Yet if you're going to do that with those teams, like they don't run their cap that way, and they're not going to give you more money than their top dogs, but it may actually be a perfect spot because he'd go in there and he wouldn't be the man. Like if he went to Florida, he'd be fourth or fifth in line in terms of importance on that team.
Yeah. I mean, again, regardless of how this ends up playing out, I do feel like he sounds like a guy that needs to change the scenery.
Yes, honestly. So I'm not disputing that.
So, I mean, if you had the power in you, Brian, to hypnotize and convince him to re-sign with the Leafs, would you really want to? Knowing that when he wakes up from that trance, that he's realizing that's not where his heart is anymore. I mean, again, I don't want to speak for him, but that would be my read on the situation right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm ready to move on. I think most people are. I think it's in the best interest of him, the team. I'm curious about what the negotiation looks like. That's I guess what I'm saying. Because I've always looked at Mitch and all of them, not him alone, as you better pay me. I better get my money. I better get my contract. Like how does that possibly stop on July 1st when he's a UFA? Like everyone, saying he's going to make all this money. Well, he's not. If he goes to Vegas, I don't think he will. If he goes to Vegas or Florida or Tampa, I don't see how he could.
Yeah, it depends where he ends up. No question. And I could just say this, that regardless of how you rate his playoff performance, I can absolutely assure you it's not affected his free agent stock because of.
How's that possible, Pierre? How's that possible?
Because of the market. Because of the market forces.
What?
Players. Look at the list of players available July 1st.
Yeah, but
if only one apple was available at the market, really was and you were craving an apple, but so were 10 other people. Would you not be willing to overpay for it?
For sure. But I just don't know what it says to your fan base. Well, this is the only guy available, so we just gave him a boatload. And once we're going to get good and the playoffs come around, he might not play that good, but we did it anyway. So
yeah, but some teams are just trying to get into the playoffs. Not everyone just gets to start the season in October and say, boy, I can't wait to see what happens this year in the playoffs. Some teams are like, we haven't been in forever. Mitch Marner's going to help us get in.
And that's what I'm saying. I guess that's where I'm driving at, is if you're Florida and you look at him, you don't need Marner.
No.
Okay, sure, you'll take him, but why would you pay him more than you pay Sam Reinhart?
Dude, knowing
Florida, why would you ever pay him
kid,
more than that?
They have a kid coming up in the minors that might fill a void.
They probably do.
Yeah,
they
have something in the system that's just like, we have that guy.
Or you look at it and say, why wouldn't we just keep Brad Marchand? Like, look what he's doing for us right now.
Absolutely possible.
In the playoffs.
The one thing I would say about Florida, and it's not necessarily tied to anyone in particular, but they will be interesting to watch yet again. And Bill Zito, who I would assume will be nominated for GM of the Year here in the coming days, along with Jim Nill and a few others. But, they've not been able to extend Sam Bennett for whatever reason, right? And again, that's not the end of the world that it hasn't happened yet. As you remember, Sam Reinhart went right to June 30th at midnight last year, right after they won the Cup. So that one, they have to sweat that one out before they finally re-sign Reinhart. But they've not been able to extend Bennett yet. And I get it. Bennett's a totally different player than Marner, different position, different attributes, and obviously not quite the same offensive impact, of course, as Marner. But if they can't re-sign Bennett, which is absolutely possible, just based on the fact they haven't been able to extend him during the year,